Coming up on WFT Midday, confusion for millions of federal workers this morning after the midnight deadline passed to respond to an email they received.
And a controversial speaker is on his way to the University of Florida. How the speaker is already stirring up controversy ahead of his visit.
And a new app being used by Alachua County Sheriff's deputies hopes to improve call response times. We'll talk about the app already being used across North Central Florida. WFT's Midday starts now.
You're watching WUFT Midday.
We're learning of more layoffs at the Department of Veterans Affairs, as workers across the federal government are getting mixed messages about whether they need to respond to an email asking for proof of performance. This is WFT Midday. I'm Isabela Reinoso.
And I'm Maddox Forman. There's more confusion for millions of federal workers this morning after the midnight deadline passed to respond to an email they got over the weekend. NBC's Alice Barr is in Washington with the latest.
A new twist this morning after the midnight deadline passed on that controversial email asking government workers to explain what they did on the job last week. Department of Government Efficiency head Elon Musk posting overnight, quote, "Failure to respond a second time will result in termination." That after the Trump administration told the heads of federal agencies that responding was voluntary. And several departments dealing with classified information, including state justice and defense, told employees to wait or not reply, even as President Trump defended the demand.
What he's doing is saying, are you actually working?
A California lawsuit by a coalition of labor unions aims to block any firings connected to the email. Mark Smith represents Veterans Affairs nurses.
When I go to my own healthcare provider, I want that provider to be laser focused on my care. I don't want that provider to have to be worrying about emails that they're getting from some unelected billionaire.
While at a town hall in Missouri, a large crowd confronted one Republican representative.
We are being discounted by those in Washington, claiming that we're the swamp and we're the fraud, waste, and abuse. No.
Lawmakers divided.
Asking people to justify their work, I think, is a reasonable step.
There is a way to do this that is proper, that is lawful, and also treats our federal employees with a little bit of dignity.
Three sources tell NBC News responses to the email would be fed into an advanced AI system to determine whether an employee's work is mission critical, leaving federal workers at a critical crossroads.
Governor Ron DeSantis has announced a new state panel hoping to imitate Elon Musk's effort to cut federal spending. The panel will review about 900 state positions, university spending, and local government spending. The program will be designed after the Federal Department of Government Efficiency. DeSantis will focus on programs related to DEI as well as university administrative spending. DeSantis says Florida has always been a national leader in government efficiency and will continue to be.
In Florida, we were Doge when no one was even talking about it, before it was even cool to do. We've worked hard to make this government as efficient and as effective as possible.
This week's weather forecast is looking more promising after some cold weather and rain for the past week.
Although it's still cloudy, sunshine is on its way. Let's get right over to WFT Jadyn Bottini live in the weather studio tracking the rain and a warm-up.
That's right. We had a pretty rainy Monday, but skies are clearing up already and our temperatures will be warming up this week. Right now, that system that brought us lots of rain yesterday is sitting off the East Coast. Some isolated showers left near Jacksonville and St. Augustine, but skies are looking pretty clear near us. Taking a look at campus right now, clouds are rolling out. We see some blue skies peeking through. 68 degrees right now, winds about 5 miles per hour, even a little bit more clear towards the west as that system sits out in the east. Temperatures right now, 63 in Gainesville, 64 in Ocala, 60 in the Villages. Into tonight, we'll be down to 70 by 6 p.m. Midnight will be at 54 degrees and 51 by 4 a.m. Coming up, we're taking a look at that warm-up this week, a clear afternoon, and tracking another front heading through later this week.
Alachua County deputies are optimizing their strategy for tracking locations using a locator app already using more than 400 agencies across the country. The Sheriff's Office is grabbing coordinates from an application known as What 3 Words to cut down its response time. WFT's Nicole Beltran has the story.
Without numbers, letters, or coordinates, locations can be tricky to track for dispatchers. It's a challenge the Alachua County Sheriff's Office is looking to tackle. The Sheriff's Office partnership with What 3 Words divides the world into 10 by 10 square foot blocks and gives each block a unique set of 3-word coordinates.
3 precise words for any point on the planet. So table, chair, spoon might be one place. Filled, count, soap is the exact square for the entrance to our office. And that means that I could tell you exactly where I am and you could find me.
Multiple agencies in North Central Florida are already using the app. ACSO started using the app in January alongside its mapping software. The partnership between the two softwares cuts tracking time in half.
If you call in, the average before was about 6 seconds. We can now find your location in 2 to 3 seconds.
Alachua County Fire Rescue 911 specialist Hannah Mesh says people don't need the app on their phones to be tracked, and the app is efficient when finding people in large buildings.
Overall, since it divides the entire globe into the 3-meter squares, it's much better if you were in a school or an office where you could tell us where you are, but say that's a 3 or 4-story building. We could get your exact location and get to you a little bit quicker.
The app has reached 62 countries and 400 places in the U.S.
The office said that it's thankful to work with technology like What 3 Words and pushes the message that softwares like these can mark the difference between life or death.
Voters in District 6 are heading to the polls in April for a special election to fill a vacancy in the House of Representatives. Putnam County and Eastern Marion County voters will choose a replacement for Michael Waltz, who held his seat for 6 years before President Trump tapped him to serve as his national security advisor. Voters will choose from a slate of candidates, including Republican Randy Fine and Democrat Josh Weil. Fine is not new to politics, serving in the Florida House of Representatives for 8 years before switching to the state Senate in 2024 to represent District 19. He's received an endorsement from Trump and is challenged by Weil, an Orlando public school teacher representing the Democrats for his first political run. A win for the Democratic Party in this district could narrow the gap in the currently Republican-led House. Early voting runs from March 22nd to 29th, and Election Day is April 1st.
A big name in politics is bringing his beliefs to the University of Florida. Conservative activist and founder of the Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk, is coming to UF for his American Comeback Tour. This speaking tour will be across many Florida's universities, with his goal being to offer conservative perspectives on college campuses. Kirk has built a huge following through his Prove Me Wrong viral videos, where he debates individuals with opposing political views. Some students have found Kirk's future presence on the campus upsetting, one student even ripping down all promotional flyers.
I personally don't agree with his point of views a lot of the time, but that being said, I think that people have a right to be on the campus of the University of Florida.
I think it will bring a lot of attention to the University of Florida, which I think is good, because whether people think it's bad attention or good attention, will help our school to grow.
Kirk will be on campus Thursday in the Plaza of Americas at noon.
Santa Fe college leaders are hosting a prom sale to help students who may be struggling to afford dresses and accessories for the big dance. SFC received a large collection of gently used dresses from a woman who wanted to help the community. Each dress will be sold for only $25, and there will be shoes and accessories on sale as well. The sale will be on March 5th from 3 to 7 p.m. or until sold out in the SFC Northwest campus. Leaders are still accepting donations until March 4th. All proceeds will support the Academy and Santa Fe College Career Services Council.
Now let's take a live look at our DOT camera showing I-75 heading through Paynes Prairie. Roads are looking to be running smoothly with hardly any traffic and clear skies. WFT's Jadyn Bottini is back to tell us more about today's upcoming forecast across North Central Florida.
We had a pretty rainy day yesterday, but skies are clearing up already and our temperatures will be increasing this week. Our storm from yesterday sits off the East Coast, causing some isolated showers left in Jacksonville and St. Augustine, but pretty clear in our area. Our low pressure system sitting over the Atlantic left us with some clouds, but again, skies are clearing and we can see that on campus in a second. Our rainfall accumulation, less than ½ an inch in Gainesville and Ocala and the Villages, less than 1/4 near Cedar Key, and a little bit over 1/2 near Perry and Tallahassee. Looking at campus right now, those clouds are rolling out. We see those beautiful blue skies peeking through. 68 degrees right now, winds about 5 miles per hour. Our view to the west even a little bit clearer as those storms are sitting in the east. Our temperatures right now, 68 in Gainesville, 64 in Ocala, 60 in the Villages, 61 in Jacksonville, and 58 in St. Augustine. Our temperatures have been increasing already over the past 24 hours. We raised about 13 degrees in Gainesville, 8 in Ocala, 4 in the Villages, even more towards Perry, 20, and 15 in Tallahassee. So what's coming next? Our low pressure system sitting over the Atlantic right now, that's our storm from yesterday. But we're taking a look at this low pressure way to our north. It's sitting in Canada right now, and this system is going to make its way all the way down to Florida and be our next weather maker, just causing a slight drop in temperatures later this week. Taking a look at the timing, here it is Wednesday at 10 p.m. sitting over Texas, still well west of us. Headed our way Thursday, it creeps into the panhandle around 6 p.m., but Friday is when we'll be really seeing the effects from this. Here it is 11 p.m. Friday, pretty much sitting right over Gainesville, and again, this is going to cause our temperatures to drop just a little bit on Friday. Looking into this weekend, Saturday at 2 p.m., our high is 70 and 73 on Sunday, looking pretty sunny this weekend. Great weekend to go outside and do something. Looking at our 7-day outlook, tomorrow's high is 79 degrees. You can see our drop in temperatures on Friday from that front, high of 71, warming up into this weekend in the upper 70s, continuing to remain warm next week, again in the upper 70s with a slight chance of showers on Tuesday.
Now let's head over to our Noticias partners for a look at today's top stories for our Spanish language audience.
Hola, soy Natalia Kassar con tus noticias en 90 segundos. La Universidad de Florida suspende el financiamiento de fondos federales para actividades de diversidad, equidad e inclusión.
El presidente Donald Trump firmó una orden ejecutiva revocando la orden del 2024 de Joe Biden, donde establecía recursos de igualdad de oportunidades en todo el gobierno federal. Muchos clubes estudiantiles de UF están siendo afectados por este cambio, incluyendo la Asociación de Estudiantes Hispanos. Un correo electrónico declaró que cualquier actividad de contrato que promueva el uso de principios de DEI o que viole las leyes federales contra la discriminación deberán cesar de inmediato.
Implementa renovaciones. Tras cumplir 169 años de existencia, Kathy McGlown, la nueva presidenta de la Junta de la Asociación del Cementerio, innova con sus nuevas decisiones con la misión de revitalizar la visión del cementerio. Entre estas están agregar un sistema de GPS para localizar de una manera eficiente las tumbas, ofrecer entierros naturales que funcionan de manera ecológica, crear un cementerio de mascotas y construir un jardín botánico. McGlown mencionó su pasión por estas transformaciones, con el fin de crear una herramienta de educación ecológica para la comunidad. Elon Musk ordena que los trabajadores federales detallen sus logros de la semana. Musk causó confusión y alarma entre los trabajadores del gobierno federal, advirtiéndoles de que serían despedidos de no responder un correo electrónico. Esta exigencia la publicó en la plataforma X. Un poco después, funcionarios del gobierno recibieron un email con el asunto que hiciste la semana pasada. Esta medida se produjo debido a que el presidente Trump sugirió que fuera más agresivo en sus acciones. La Federación Estadounidense de Empleados del Gobierno dijo que impugnará cualquier despido que considere ilegal. Estas fueron tus noticias en 90 segundos. Gracias por sintonizarnos.
Prices on new cars dipped by 2.2% last month. There's fear that President Trump's proposed tariffs could cause prices to rise again. Jen Sullivan explains how the tariffs could impact the entire auto industry.
In the market to buy a new car? Be prepared to pay a lot. The average price for a new car last month was over $48,000. That's $11,000 more than 5 years ago, according to Kelley Blue Book, which monitors auto prices.
Obviously, cars today look a lot different than they did 20, 30 years ago. All the technology, that costs money.
Jessica Caldwell with Edmunds, a car expert company, says prices could go up even more this year. That's because President Donald Trump has proposed 25% tariffs on all cars imported to the U.S. beginning in April. to incentivize companies to keep jobs in the U.S. and encourage buyers to buy American. But that could cause sticker shock on foreign cars.
That's going to add significant cost.
But it's not just foreign cars that would be impacted. Prices on American cars are likely to go up as well. That's because many U.S. companies have plants overseas and wouldn't be able to move production by the spring.
The auto industry is such a global business now. It's not so regionalized where everything comes from this and that this is where it's sold, this is where it's produced.
The Trump administration has said the tariffs would include semiconductors, a part that is crucial to new cars. But it's not clear if these tariffs would apply to all car parts. If they do, it could mean higher prices to simply repair your car if those parts are made overseas.
If you think you're going to buy a vehicle in the next 6 months or a year and you're worried about all of this, it's probably better to buy sooner rather than later.
The number of measles cases continues to grow, with cases reported in 8 states this year, the bulk of which have been in West Texas, where 90 cases have been identified since late January. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has answers to some of the most common questions about measles.
It's one of the world's most contagious infectious diseases, and it's important to know the warning signs of measles. Early on, it can mimic a respiratory illness, causing a cough, red eyes, and extreme congestion. There may also be a high fever that may spike to more than 104 degrees. Typical measles cases also have a red splotchy rash that develops 3 to 5 days after symptoms start, and tiny white spots inside the mouth 2 to 3 days before symptoms begin. Experts say vaccination is the best protection.
For the vast majority of people, if you've gotten your measles shots, you should be protected. It should be something that works for life.
The vaccine is typically given to young children. Officials say the first dose, given between 12 and 15 months, is 93% effective against measles. The second dose, given around age 4 to 6, boosts that efficacy to 97%.
If you are living in an area where measles is circulating and you're worried about that, getting that second shot earlier is fine.
Despite the recent outbreak, experts say measles isn't becoming more severe. Before mass vaccinations, improvements in medical care were already lowering the death rate. However, before 1963, when vaccines weren't routinely given, there were between 400 and 500 people dying every year in the U.S. from measles. In 2015, there was 1 death, the most recent in the U.S. from the illness.
That's really what this vaccine is designed to prevent.
That was Mandy Gaither reporting. Older children and adults who haven't been vaccinated can also receive the measles vaccine. If you got the first version of the vaccine given between 1963 and 1968, or don't know which version of the vaccine you received, the CDC recommends at least 1 dose of the current vaccine. But if you were born before 1957 and had the measles, you likely already have natural immunity.
Now let's get over to WFT First at 5 anchor Bailey Cornick with a look at what's coming up at First at 5 on Channel 5.
We're going to discuss an upcoming Marion County special election to fill former representative and current National Security Advisor's Mike Waltz's seat. Governor Ron DeSantis is in Ocala today, where he announced a new expansion to I-75, and the Alachua County Board of County Commissioners will meet today to discuss raises for law enforcement. Sheriff Chad Scott is proposing a 3.8% raise for law enforcement and detention officers.
As we continue to warm up this week, high of 79 tomorrow, drop in temperatures slightly on Friday, warming up into this weekend and remaining warm into next week with a slight chance of showers on Tuesday.
Thank you for joining us for WFT Midday. We're back here tomorrow for another edition.
We will see you later today for First at 5 on Channel 5. Have a great afternoon.